Yo, welcome back to Dolphins United, the platform for Dolphins. You heard me. We back in the house. DU fam, what's up? What's shaking with you? We got a special video for you today. Something I want to get off my chest, something I want to talk about with y'all. And of course, we'll go back and forth in the comments as usual, all right? Don't want to be for you long, but I got to get this stuff off my chest, so this video might be a little longer than usual because I got to set the table, all right? So, here's the question I have, all right? Once again, you can go ahead and answer this question yourselves as I go ahead and try to make my points on it. Have the Dolphins mismanaged Tua? All right, now I'm going to hit this from that standpoint, and I'm also going to talk about why Tua is also getting the short end of the stick, all right? And some of it is his doing. Some of it is definitely out of his control as well, and we'll get to all that. But let's go ahead and set the table. 2019, all right? Tank for Tua, all right? That's what was coined. That's what started getting rumored around. I wanted Tua myself, okay? I looked at Tua as a freshman, bring back Alabama, and I fell in love with that kid. I'm like, yo, I want him to be our next coach of the next quarterback of, y'all know I don't edit, of the Miami Dolphins. I want him to be that next quarterback. I saw greatness in him at that point. He was accurate, could throw the ball downfield extremely well. Extremely well. I didn't see at that time any arm strength deficiencies. To me, it didn't exist at that time. I'm seeing a guy that was slinging the ball downfield at will. Great anticipation, accuracy, great pocket presence. Yes, he had the best team around him possible, but you still got to be a great player to perform with the best players, okay? And he did that. He did his job. He performed well. He was just a great quarterback. Intangibles up the wazoo. Great family, great makeup, great leader. He was a great kid, all right? Great kid. Only red flag were the injuries, all right? Now, you had to get over the injuries to decide that you would want to draft a kid like that because, yes, he had tightrope surgeries on both ankles, had a finger issue, multiple surgeries, then he had the hip, all right? Once he had that hip injury, it's like, okay, this is a big one. This is one that's going to, probably take a lot of time to heal. We've got to really see what we have before we try to make a decision on picking up this quarterback. Then, boom, fast forward, comes the pro day. He looks pretty decent. He's got torque on the hip, able to throw the ball on the move, able to rip some shots, some 47-yard balls down the field. Looked decent. Definitely was taking a step in the right direction. Made you a little more comfortable if you were trying to draft him. Boom, let's fast forward. Get all the way to draft day. You've got either rumblings of hearing Justin Herbert or Tua because Burrow was going to be gone, all right? We end up taking Tua. The rest is history. Come fast forward to training camp. They say, hey, you know what? Fitz is our guy starting out the year. It is what it is. We're moving on with him. All right, fine, cool. Everybody's happy. We're sitting Tua for the year. We're good. Fast forward, week 5, week 6, you start hearing a little rumblings. Hey, they might start Tua after the bye. We're hearing Tua might start after the bye. Boom, boom, boom. They bring Tua in during the Jets game. That's where you had the iconic picture sitting on like the 20-yard line, FaceTiming, 15 to 20-yard line, FaceTiming his family because that was his first snaps or last snaps of the first game in the NFL. Next thing you know, next week after that, they're starting Tua. Tua comes in, gets baptized with a sack, all right, by the Rams defense, that forceful defense, gets right back on up. He leads the team down, scores a touchdown on that drive or the next drive. I can't remember what drive it was, but he scored a touchdown to Devontae Parker, kept the team in the game, defense held up, did their thing, confused Jared Goff, who was the quarterback at the time for the Rams. We got the dub, all right? Then we rip off another dub against the Cardinals. Looks great in that game. We actually think we got something in this kid now because he came back in that game, ran for first downs in that game. Nasty juke on Buda Baker, about as nasty as the one he did last week on Deion Jones. He looked great. He looked great in that game for a rookie. All right, he looked really, really good in that game for a rookie. And, you're starting to see a little promise. Next thing you know, we're ripping off games. People are like, hey, he's not really throwing for a lot of yards, all right? At the time, Tua was throwing for like 130, 98, 170 yards. It's just like, he's dinking and dunking all over the place. He would throw deep. He would underthrow. Remember, he underthrew Jakeem. He underthrew Preston. He overthrew Preston. It was just, not a lot of wide receivers. O-line was okay at the time, pass blocking. Let's be real. Like, they actually did hold up pass blocking wise up until the Broncos game where they were just leaky all over the place. And Tua wasn't finding his hot. Tua wasn't reading the blitz well. Tua wasn't reading his protections. It just was all bad, all right? And then at that point, you start to have a little questions. Okay, like, what's going on here? This kid is not showing some of the nuances that we're seeing from these other quarterbacks. And now, at the time, Justin Herbert is balling out, leading him to winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then Joe Burrow looks great as well, although he had a leaky offensive line as well. So, you start to get a couple questions there after that Broncos game, like, something's just not right. He gets hurt, finger, thumb issue. He's out for like 2 games or something like that. And then, he comes back in. We're like, all right, there's starting to be some questions now about Tua. Is he the quarterback of the future? We got to give him time. And you had guys on 2 sides of the spectrum. After that Raiders game, it's like, okay, Tua is looking like a bust. And then people were like, he's just coming off a bad injury. We got to give him time, all right? So it's on both sides. After the Bills game, we had a chance at that time to get into the playoffs if we win that game. We lose horribly. Now everybody's out for Tua. Tua is a bust. We need to move on from him. We need to do whatever we can to get another quarterback come this next draft. And then on the other half of the fan base, they're like, oh, you guys are crazy. He did some good things. Look at the Cardinals. I was one of those guys. Look at the Cardinals. He did some great things. We got to give him time. He's going to be good in time. We just got to see him be healthy through this injury, all right? Fast forward, he says himself he didn't know the playbook as well as he would have liked, all right? And that's exactly how he said it. Then he also said, not he said, but his trainer said that he was working on 60% of a healed hip, all right? So, fast forward, all right, up until this point right now, most of the fan base is done with Tua. Some of the fan base still feels like Tua can be something. Some of them believe that he's still the future. But the team is ready to move on. Okay? The team, at this very point, feels that they've seen enough and they're okay with moving on from Tua. The question is, why? You got the guy that you wanted in the first place, okay? You saw him in college. You fell in love with him. You wanted him. You looked at his pro day. You fell in love with him. You wanted him. Draft day. You fell in love with him. You wanted him. You move on to the season. You start him early, all right? You had no business starting Tua when you started him, but you wanted to start him because it's not like the season was over. You were 3-3. You still had plenty of time, all right, at 3-3 to make something out of the season with Fitz. You started him because you wanted to see him in that season. Completely understand, all right? I get it. But you had no business starting him because he wasn't 100%. 1, 2, Chan Gailey didn't want you to start him because he wasn't 100%. Not just physically, mentally. All right, he didn't have the game yet. He didn't know what he was doing yet. So Chan Gailey didn't want to start him. So guess what Chan Gailey did? Gave him 20% of the offensive playbook to work through. And even that he didn't know as well as he needed to know. Okay? So because of that, we, the fans, and you, management, had a skewed view of what Tua could be because you started him too early. All right? And he didn't light the league on fire like the other two quarterbacks were doing, which I'm pretty sure you thought he would be able to do as well. So now the fact that he didn't do what the other two quarterbacks was doing made you look stupid because it's like, well, dang, did we pick the wrong quarterback? Now everybody else is not everybody is second guessing you. All right? They're second guessing you as the GM. They're second guessing you as the head coach. They're saying that you guys made the wrong decision. All right? So now you're in your feelings because Tua is not playing the way you want him to play because he started too early. All right? Because you wanted to get a look at him. All right? You salvaged the season. I mean, you not salvaged the season. You put the season on hold. All right? You could have salvaged the season. You could have made it to the playoffs with Fitz, possibly. All right? It's not like Fitz was a world beater. Fitz was hot and cold. All right? That's why they had Fitz Tragic as part of his name and Fitz Magic as part of his name. All right? Because you was either going to get one or the other. And boy, I looked through his stats and it was one or the other. All right? It was definitely one or the other. I mean, the man had in that same season early on, I think it was against maybe Buffalo. Not Buffalo. It wasn't against Buffalo. I think it was against New England. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yeah. I mean, Fitz Tragic definitely reared his ugly head last year. And against the Jets, he didn't do great, which led them to have Tua put in the game. Tua got the first third down conversion of the game at that point with like 2 minutes left, by the way. Okay, so it's not like Fitz was lighting the world up, but you know Fitz was going to give you some good games like he did against San Francisco. All right, he was going to give you some good games like that as well. So anyway, moving on. Tua wasn't supposed to start. He started. He made the front office look dumb. He made the coaching look dumb because he wasn't up to par as the other quarterbacks that were drafted with him in his same draft class were looking. All right. So now, this is not Tua's fault. This part that I'm going to say. But this is the NFL and this is what happens. Because he didn't play well when he wasn't even supposed to be playing, it put a target on his back, but it also put a target on the GM and the head coach's back. So they can't just tell the owner, oh, you know, we made the wrong decision here. We've got to move on. All right? Because they'll get fired. They can't do that. So guess what happens for them? Luck happens for them. A Deshaun Watson comes out of nowhere and says, I want that team. I want to go to Miami. And guess what the GM does and what the head coach do? They say, you want to come here? Tua, sorry, buddy. We'll try and see if we can make this work somehow, some way. So because Tua started too early, and because Tua didn't pan out the way they thought he was going to pan out because they expected him to look like Herbert and Burrow, their behinds is on fire because they made the wrong decision. They can't go tell the head coach that they made the wrong decision because they'll be fired. They get a blessing. A top 5 quarterback wants them. All right. Now they can't go once again looking for a top 5 quarterback, because if they go looking for a top 5 quarterback, that means that they made a mistake. So a top 5 quarterback actually came looking for them. You know why that makes so much difference? It's because they can't take blame for a quarterback looking for them. if a quarterback is looking for them, then all they have to say is, we love Tua, but we can't pass up on this opportunity to get a guy that is great. All right? That's before the allegations came out. Fast forward, allegations come out. Everybody's looking. Tua is the quarterback still, all right? Everybody's looking around to see what the teams are going to do after finding out about it. Report comes out. There are some teams that don't have a problem with anything that's going on so far, being that they're just allegations. Guess who one of those teams are? Miami. Come to find out, Miami has already put an offer in, but it's a lowball offer. Nobody, they don't want to accept that offer that Miami is throwing out there, so they're going to hold on to their quarterback. We get to the draft. We make some moves to increase our weaponry on offense for Tua. Okay, for Tua. We do so. We move forward with Tua in the season. Things die down for a little bit as it pertains to Watson. Things start to pick back up right before the season. The Dolphins have a chance to put water on the fire and douse it. They choose not to. All right? They stick with their Tua's our quarterback. We're not talking about anybody else that's not on the team, blah, 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 baloney. So that's what they do. What does that do for Tua? It adds pressure to Tua. All right? It adds pressure to Tua because he has to prove why he needs to be the starting quarterback before they make a decision to move on from him. So now Tua has to press a little bit. First game comes around, we win the game. Tua doesn't do that great. He gets outplayed by Mac Jones. I don't care what y'all say, he did. Yardage-wise, he didn't win the Mac Jones didn't win the game, but yardage-wise, the way he looked in the game, he gets outplayed. Everybody gets outplayed every now and then. People start calling for his head. Oh, we need Watson right now. All right? Tua gets hurt against Buffalo. He's out the next 4 weeks. Well, he's out against Buffalo and then the 3 weeks after that. Jacoby looks like trash. Okay? Tua comes back. All right? Amid all these rumors. Does well against Jacksonville. Doesn't win the game. I'm talking about statistically. Has a horrible next week dealing with all the rumors that the Dolphins don't want to put aside because they feel like they don't know what they have in Tua and they feel like they might have made a mistake in taking Tua. All right. And on top of that, they don't want to help Tua by calming his nerves and saying, you know what, you're our quarterback and we're moving forward with you. We don't want Deshaun. That they leave him out to dry. All right. So now he has to get solace from his QB coach because he's out here. Now think about this being you. You get drafted number 5. You feel like you're a great quarterback. You're thinking you're going to sit out the whole season. All right. Now I slid by that. I didn't even mention it. Tua wasn't expecting to play. All right. He thought he was going to be out the entire year. He said it himself. He was shocked when they told him that he was coming in the game to play, all right, that he was actually going to be playing. He was shocked himself. He thought he was sitting out the year to get his hip right, all right. Now, he felt like he could go out there, all right. He could have easily told them that, you know what, I'm not ready. But now, if he did that, he would have looked really bad. So he was in a lose-lose situation. Either I go in and I try to do something on my hip that's not 100%, or you know, I look like a coward because I don't want to go in there. So he went in there. No, he didn't look great, but he didn't look like a bust either. All right? Fast forward. Now, you got a quarterback that is in there fighting for his life when he wasn't even supposed to be in there that first year. All right? Because now he comes in to the season with the cards stacked against him because he heard all the Watson rumors, and the Miami didn't do anything to douse those rumors besides not make a trade yet. Then come find out right after the Jacksonville game that things are heating up. Okay? Now you got to play with all that pressure. Guess what happens? A quarterback starts pressing. All right? A quarterback starts pressing because any of us in that position would start pressing. We've got to make sure we start showing that we are a franchise quarterback, if not to them, to somebody else, so that we can keep one of those prestigious 32 jobs. So what happens? Tua goes out there and he's throwing picks. All right? The first one, he's pressing. I understand that it's a miscommunication, but he was pressing. All right? Now, there's a fine line between pressing and anticipation. All right? Because they could look the same. You could be anticipating something and then something else happens, or then you could be pressing. All right? And I don't know what was what on that play. I'm going to assume that he was anticipating because that's what he said. He was expecting something that didn't happen, but he was pressing. Second interception, definitely pressing. All right? He's pressing. He's trying not to take a sack because he knows that a sack is going to look bad on him for holding on to the ball because he keeps hearing, I can't hold on to the ball. All right? So they're mismanaging him when it comes to his psyche, and then they're mismanaging him when it comes to how they're coaching him up. All right? Because now he has to play a little timid and scared because he can't turn the ball over too much, but he needs to take chances because he right now doesn't look like a franchise quarterback to the fans and to his head coach. Partly his doing, partly not his doing. All right? Mostly not his doing, I would say. He has been completely mismanaged by the Dolphins organization. Part of it is not their fault. A top 5 quarterback wants them. He comes knocking on the door like, please come get me. So, of course, you've got to do your due diligence to try and make that happen. But here's the problem. Tua threw 4 touchdowns in that last game. We haven't had a quarterback throw for 4 touchdowns in a very long time. Fitz did it once while he was with us, and that was against Cincinnati in 2019, that game that went to overtime that we were hoping we could somehow lose so we could get to number 2 or something like that, or possibly have a chance at number 1. But Cincinnati lost that game, so they ended up getting number 1. So, we have ourselves something in Tua. It's not great. Tua can eventually be a quarterback. All right? He can eventually be a franchise quarterback. Here is why Miami is moving on. It's not necessarily because of the intangibles, because Tua has them. The problem that Tua has moving forward is simply arm strength and arm talent. Joe Burrow is throwing 60-yard bombs. Herbert is throwing 80-yard bombs. Watson can throw 80-yard bombs off platform. And he has speed. That is the problem with Tua. Tua doesn't have a great arm. Tua can't throw it off platform 60 yards in the air. Tua has intangibles, anticipation, pocket presence. He has the smarts to play the position down the line, all right? 2-3 years down the line when he's seen all the defenses, when things start clicking real fast. He has all these different things that you would want in a quarterback. Height, not a problem to me. Some people say he's short. So is Russell Wilson. So is Kyler Murray. So is Drew Brees. So was Flutie. So is Baker Mayfield. These guys are all short. They get the job done. Height is not the issue. Arm strength is. That's always going to be the issue. That is his fault. Not necessarily because he did anything to make his arm the way it is, but that is the problem that he has. All right? That is the problem that he has. That's what gets wandering eyes. Because if he was a Josh Allen, trust me, no matter how he played that first year, they wouldn't be looking at Deshaun Watson because they would be like, you know what? Yes, he's not Deshaun Watson, but he has arm talent out this world. He has physical traits that you can't teach or that you can't just work on and conjure up. We'll take our chances because he's a lot cheaper. Tua is a lot cheaper than Watson. Problem is, he doesn't have the arm talent. Never will. That leads to wandering eyes. So, because of this, all right, because of the fact that Tua doesn't have that stronger arm, because of the fact that Tua was coming off of an injury, here's what I'm going to say. All right? The Dolphins may end up getting Watson. But we, the fan base, should not forgive them for not taking Justin Herbert in the draft. Because if we're going to get Watson mainly because of the arm talent, then you should have never taken Tua in the first place. One, he was coming off a serious hip injury. If you were going to take that quarterback, you should have sat him the entire year and then see what you could see what he could do in 2020-2021 season. You start him early. He doesn't have as much arm strength last year as he does this year because he was on a bad hip. You get scared because he doesn't look like the other quarterbacks. You get a quarterback that wants to come your way in Deshaun Watson. You want to take him because he actually has the arm talent that Tua does not have and the physical traits that Tua does not have. You want to make that move. If that was the case all along, you should have took Justin Herbert. You can try to make up for it now, but you should have never passed on Justin Herbert if you were so worried about arm talent and so worried about seeing a quarterback early when he wasn't ready. You mismanaged Tua, so now we're in this situation we are in. That's on you guys. That's on management. So because of that, you might save your job, but we'll never forget it. I'll holler at y'all in the next one. Y'all already know what it is. Fins up till we die. Let me know your thoughts, please. I try to put this together as best as possible for y'all. I don't have no script, so I'm going straight off the dome with it. I'll holler at y'all in the next one. See y'all later.